Afternoon, my friends. Thank you so much for watching this very fine program on KUAM TV8 or streaming us on YouTube or Facebook. I'm Jason Salas. We appreciate you watching because we get the show started with news about the island's brand new DWI court. I remember talking with our guest, one of our guests tonight. So let's go ahead and introduce him now. The presiding judge, the Honorable Alberto Lamarena. Judge, very good to see you.
Jason, thank you very much for inviting me back.
All right, I cannot wait to talk about this, but Tricia Suzuki is also here from the judiciary, so we appreciate your insight on this topic as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so Your Honor, again, I remember you bringing this up when you said this is coming down the road. It's always been a very strong part of your career and your practice of law to make sure that Guam's criminals are rehabilitated and people with dependencies, I might say, are treated in a fair way. Is that a good way to talk about the purpose of this work?
You hit it right on the spot. Jason, I've been a very strong supporter of therapeutic courts. I've seen it work, especially when we did the adult drug court. All the people that graduated from the adult drug court, 92%, we have a 92% success rate. We see it also in our family violence court. And so, it's obvious that the driving while underimpaired, which is the largest, if not one of the largest courts, cases filed at the Superior Court of Guam, that we should start a treatment program for many individuals who probably demand more treatment, require more treatment than just the ordinary driving with care program classes or counseling sessions. Mm-hmm. And we have identified already 20 people that are eligible to enter the program. 5 I think already have pled to enter the program. And we have 15 that are either waiting plea agreements from the Attorney General's office, or the defense counsels are talking with their clients about the program, and also some of them are waiting for appointments with for clinical eligibility from Tricia. Mm-hmm.
And as long as, beg your pardon, as long as I've known you, you've always talked about the importance of driving down the recidivism rate. And just because somebody happens to find themselves in a tough spot, or they get arrested and they're processed because of something they did, making sure that those kind of things are not repeated is very key to our quality of life on island.
Well, what we try to do is we try to make the person who's offended, who's charged for a crime, try to not to come back. And one of the things we found out to our therapeutic courts was, again, I'm very strong supportive of it, is we try to make these individuals get rehabilitated and hopefully become whole persons again, so that they won't recidivate back into the court system.
Exactly. And
so far, we've been very, very, very successful for those who have entered the programs.
Okay. Well, Tricia, if I may, what is your role in the administration of this program, and what are some questions that community members typically approach you about this?
Well, I'm the coordinator of the treatment program, and so basically I'm here just to make sure that everything is running smoothly. If there's any questions, we also handle the clinical eligibility for the requirements for their clients. So basically we're just going to here to state what are the requirements for an individual who will qualify for the program. Also, I'm here to link with other stakeholders to make sure that the successful completion of our clients also, and also to inform all information to the courts when needed.
I like how you kind of downplayed that, because you said my job is just to make sure this thing runs smoothly. Easier said than done.
True.
When it comes to running a program of this magnitude.
Yes.
Well, we thank you what you do for the community. But, Your Honor, I want to talk about something is therapeutic courts and, and again, rehabilitation and things of this nature. Is that an evolution of how Guam has been able to treat people that are prosecuted? Because, someone I know with whom you're intimately familiar is, Tony Lamarena over at the prison system.
Correct.
Yeah, of course. He has told us, and he gave us a really poignant soundbite, that he said, gone are the days of justice on Guam where we just lock people up and throw away the key. We want to make sure that these people learn that they're treated properly, so hopefully, again, they're not repeating this cycle. Yes,
and that's the problem we've been facing at the Superior Court of Guam. We see a high number of people just coming back. In fact, the Department of Corrections had their statistic that they said that within 1 year, 30% of the people that they release are back at the Department of Corrections. So we're trying to break that cycle of people coming. We're trying to reduce the number of people going to that revolving door, and hopefully therapeutic courts or rehabilitation and constant monitoring by the courts and collaboration with defense and counsel and prosecution and all our treatment providers and probation will hopefully reduce that turnaround from people.
Well, Tricia, the judge was just saying, like several people have qualified because they have pleaded, to get into the program and everything like that. Can you shine light a little bit on how one becomes, eligible for the program?
Well, first you have to be legally eligible, so that would be handled by the Attorney General's office. And once that is done and deemed appropriate or legally eligible, then it'll be the responsibility of the defense counsel to speak with their client and explain the process, what it entails, explain that it is a real intensive program, and to kind of get them to agree to be part of it. After that, they will send them to our office for clinical eligibility. So we ask them a series of questions to determine if they're eligible. And then from there, plea agreements will take place, will go before Your Honor, and then at that time they can enter the program if eligible.
Okay, I think the key word in that response, which was very good by the way, was a very intensive program. So
Yes.
can you maybe just gloss over a little bit about exactly what one goes through?
I'll refer to Tricia.
Okay,
That's
so
her.
initially we have different phases throughout the whole program. So initially it's real intensive. So for the first phase, the requirements are like coming in 3 times a week for a drug test, alcohol or drugs, and then required to meet their case managers on a weekly basis. They'll have court hearings every week. They'll also have to attend self-help meetings twice a week. So it is a lot for them to do. But overall, it's worth it at the end for them. Their case can be dismissed once they complete the program successfully.
So just so people know, it's not one of those things that you just said, yeah, I did it, and I'll go to like a couple classes and then, like my record's wiped clean. There is a emphasis on treatment.
Yes.
Yes, and also involvement by the participant. You just don't sit in the class and hear the lecture. It takes active participation by those people in the programs, and not only for the DUI court, but for the other courts as well. So it takes active participation because one of the things we try to elicit from the participant is how did he come to this situation, and how it affects his relationship with his family, his friends, and his employer, and the public at large. So we try to find out where the problems lie. We try to rehabilitate that. We try to identify their risks, what their needs are, and then respond to those needs. So, so that's what the emphasis is all about.
Well, we could sit here and talk about this for hours, and I certainly would like to, but we got to run. But tell you what, we'd like to have you back and talk about more about this as the program continues
and
to
we'll
run.
talk about the adult reentry court.
Yes, please.
Which I'm working with my brother on that.
I'd like that very much.
Yes.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
And we will see you on the flip side of this break.